And hello everyone, welcome back to a new video. So in the last video I talked a bit about variables when we went over printing text to the screen. And today we're actually going to be covering variables because they're a massive part of any programming language you wish to learn. So to declare a variable, now what is a variable first? Well, what is it? What does it do? Now if you think of a variable, you should think of a container. Let's say you want to store pi's value, which is 3.14159 and whatnot. Let's say you want to store that, and later on you want to say 3.14159 plus, and then let's say 2, and that then later becomes 5.14159, and then you must say 14159 divided by minus 5, and then that should equal 0. Now that is very that you see, like doing this, that was very uncomfortable because I had to literally type everything out perfectly. That's very uncomfortable. Don't do that. That is why we have variables. So let's go and call this one give it the descriptive name such as math underscore pi. So it's the pi value of math, or the mathematical value pi. You say 3.14159, and then you have storage inside of a variable. Now actually you can print this variable math pi. If you print that, and let's just find there, if you print that, you get 3.1459. Now you can say plus 2, and print that, 5.14. And now you can actually create more variables. So you can go big pi is equal to math underscore pi plus 99. And then if you do this, big pi, and you run that, as you can see, it added it to the variable. Now that is basically variable. Now I should also tell you about data types. Now what we stored inside of this variable, this is an integer, a float. Now what's a float? A float is basically a number that has decimals after it. So 3.0, that's a float. 3.14159, that's a float. 3 is an integer. So let's just put this in comments so we can understand. So this is an integer, which is also known as a number / whole number, if I'm not mistaken. And then you get 3.114, for example, 12 or 1 anything, or 92. That is a float. This is also sometimes referred to as a double, but in Python it is a float. And it's just basically a more specific version of an integer. Even 9.0 or 19.02, that is a float. And then you get another type of data type, which is called a string. We've been working with them a lot. So if we go word, that is a string. Word is a string. Just like things such as everything inside of these quotes is a string, or these quotes, or whatever quotes you want to use. You can go Kali Linux, and that is also a string. And now we know why when we try to say there are, and let's say plus 2, that's why when we try to say this, Python was like, oh okay, so I should plus this string with this 2. But you can't do that. You can't plus a string and an integer, or a string and a float, or a string and whatever else. You can only add a string and a string together. That is why you had the comma option, which automatically converted this into a string. So if we go math pi and we run this, Then there you go. Let me clear this as well. Then you can also, let's say you wanted to use plus, then you can use str. Now str will basically convert from an integer or a float or a boolean, which we'll get to now, into a string. So we can go math pi. Now if we run this, we get there are 3 points. See, let's maybe do that. So that is a way you can convert it. Now, just because we declared this variable as a float does not mean it can stay a float. If we go math pi and we make this true, or not true, we make this words, and then if we were to print out math pi, it will just say there are words, because we changed it. We did not say what data type it was, but we can be specific and say float and then do this. Then that will tell Python that this is a float. And we go math.py equals words. If you run this, it will still change it. But this time you actually see that it's a float. So this isn't the per se bad practice. This is actually seen as slightly good practice, since you actually tell Python what you're trying to store inside of this variable. But it's not necessary. And in the end you can still change it. So just keep that in mind. Then you can also get something like, let's say, is tall. Now, is tall is like, is he tall, yes or no? Now, if you want a yes or no answer, you get things like true or false. Now, true or false basically is like yes or no. False, which will be equal to no, and true, which will be equal to yes. And if we were to try and print out is tall, and if you print it out, it returns true. Now let's erase it. Now you might still be wondering, when will using a variable actually be that useful? Because you'd rather just copy and paste. Let's take this for example, paste. Now here we say there was once a man named Kevin. Kevin was 98 and did not have long to live. So Kevin wished to become young again. Kevin then went from being 98 to 24. Now, let's say we wanted to change the name of the man to John. Now, we need to go and at each and every one, let's go John, and then we have to go here and say John, and then we have to go here, or let's say we didn't see that one, then we have to go John, and then we didn't see that one. Then if we run this, it's like, okay, everything's correct, but oh wait, there's Kevin. Oh, now I gotta go back and fix it. Now imagine this was, let's say, 15,000 lines of code. It's an entire story. Just imagine that. What the pain you'd have to go through in order to change all of this to what you want it to be. Now, I give you a solution. I tell you, put it inside character name. Now, variable names, now that I see myself doing this, should be done in camel case. Now, camel case is camel case. As you can see, with each new word, there is a capitalization. You can't do that. This is two separate variables. This is not one variable. This is one variable. But you can also go underscore and to remove the smaller c. Now it's also good to note that it is bad practice to do this. Char name. Do not start your variables off with a capital C or a capital letter of any case, or with a number, or with something like a hash, or with an exclamation mark. Don't do that. Always start off with a character. Maybe an underscore is fine, maybe a dollar is fine, but nothing such as an exclamation mark or a number, because there are invalid values attached to these. Some things cannot be changed into a variable. If we're going to try and print this, then it's just going to be what, you know, and it's just bad practice in general. But anyways, character name, we can make this Kevin, because we want him to be called Kevin. Now we can go here and we can change all of these, or it doesn't help me if I do that. We can go named and plus we can add char name. Remove this, and we can say char name plus, and let's add some of that beautiful what we learned of last time, and then we can just go char name, and you can just go character name. That's just as an example. Now if we run this, now the name is Kevin. Now let's say we want to change the name to let's say Lucas. Now if we run that, now the name has been changed to Lucas instantly, instead of us having to go through each and every one. Now if this was a 15,000 lines of code project, then you within a second just changed all of the names of this character to whatever you wanted it to be. And even halfway through the code, let's say we want to change the name of the character for some whatever reason to Caleb. I can remember any names to Caleb. We try and run that, then halfway through the story, it changes to Caleb. Isn't that beautiful? Now let's say we want to change how old he is, his age. Then we can just say char age, or char age, whichever you prefer, and we can say it's 98. Now if you want to change his initial age, then that's possible. Then we can go and just do that, and then go here, and we can say, we can change this to a string because it's an integer, and we can say char age please, and we just do that. And then we can also just copy this right here, and boom, now we have just changed the character age. Let's make this look better. Now if we run this, then as you can see it stays 98. Now let's say we want to make him 100 because that's even older and that's better. So we can do that, and now he is 100. Now let's say you want this should be in a value that has been calculated. So then we can go plus. So let's say that value should be whatever his age is. That's anyways at the end. Whatever the character's age is minus, let's say 50. So you can go char age minus 50. Now you do that from 100 to 50, and if we change his age to, let's say, 89, run that, 89 to 39. Perfect. We can also actually store this inside of a variable if you wanted to. So if you want to change how much his age gets minused with, we can just change it in a variable. So we can say new age. Then we can go char age minus, and then let's say we want to make it minus 20 now instead of 50. And now we can say new age. And there you go, from 89 to 69. Nice. Or we can just store the 20 inside of there, and we can say char age minus new age. And if we run that, it goes back to 89 to 69. Nice. Okay, and so we covered the basic data types and basic ways of using variables and what variables are. And in the next video we'll be covering more about data types. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and see you all in the next video.